You're welcome to Sahara TV as we bring you this historic edition of our show. It's not Saturday, I know, it's Friday, but we are holding this event or this show to commemorate the inauguration of now President, General, actually he says he doesn't want to be called General anymore, so President Muhammadu Buhari, I should say. My name is Kwesi, a son Baako, and I'm here in the studio to start off today with my colleagues, Declan, Gavin, editor, Sahara Reporters, and Toyosi, Phillips, host of the Gist show on Sahara TV. You're welcome, colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kwesi.
Okay, so, whoa, excitement. At long last, it's here. It's official, President Muhammadu Buhari. What are your thoughts on the day? Ladies first.
Okay, my excitement is that it went peacefully, because I'd been having this fear in my heart that something was going to go wrong, like a bomb was going to go off. I just had these thoughts in my head, seeing that a lot of people were going to be gathered there and stuff. So my first emotion right now is just one of happiness. Like it went peacefully, it went well. There was no incidents.
Exhaling right now, I believe.
Exhaling right now, yes.
All right. Declan?
Yeah, I think that the ceremony itself was very fascinating in that it was brief and it was punctual. And this is something that I think a lot of people are looking forward to or have the expectation of the incoming administration, that it's going to be something it's going to be an administration well run and have a tight operation. Yesterday, when Buhari went on his tour of the presidential villa, he's reportedly arrived a couple minutes early. And so it looks like he's keeping time. He wanted to make sure that the ceremonies today ended early enough so that he could then go and pray in mosque. And so this is, I think, a really fascinating development, and we'll see whether it holds throughout the administration.
It transfers into the everyday activities of the Nigerian society. Let me ask you though, what you just mentioned. President Buhari, I keep calling him General, forgive me, seems to be making a solid point about discipline and integrity. Like every single chance that he gets, he does something to drum home that point about the need for discipline and integrity. Yeah. An example is, arriving two minutes early for
exactly. And another example is this week when he made his unannounced trip to London, actually turned down some luxury Rolls-Royce vehicles to drive and parade around London, and I think that he instead went for it was like a Toyota Camry or some kind of very modest vehicle. And so he's definitely sending a number of different signs and signals to people. But does this go beyond the surface and presentation level? Or will this actually transfer into meaningful reform administratively and economically in terms of making sure that wealth is not being flaunted among the political elite in Nigeria as much as it has in
Which is a huge problem, because Nigeria is a rich country and people have the wherewithal to show off. It's going to be difficult. I'm asking you this, Toyosi. It's going to be kind of difficult to keep these things in check, don't you think? They are very rich governors with private jets and stuff like that. How is President Buhari going to manage? How is he going to ride a Toyota Camry when his governors are, jetting around?
Yeah, he actually said something today. He said that the state is separate from the federal, but that he's going to allow them to be independent, but he's not going to close his eyes when something is going wrong. Yeah. So I believe that with somebody like that at the head, they will be careful. They will be more conscious of the fact that they are being watched. So they're not going to be as extravagant as their predecessors have been, and I don't think they're going to have the same freedom they had under Jonathan's regime. So I feel like they will be more conscious of their activities.
Do you think people will be ashamed to flaunt their wealth now that the first gentleman is showing such modesty?
Maybe not ashamed, just careful.
Careful.
Yes, just careful.
Okay, so now let's go back to the ceremony. There were all these heads of state. Everybody wants to be part of history. It's a historic day, and everybody wants to be part of it. Yeah. I saw good old Mugabe. I saw Obama. It's a long list of dignitaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of a funny, well, maybe not so funny. There were reports this week that the invitations for this event, which, as you said, is something that everybody's been wanting to attend, that they were deliberately being suppressed, and that PDP individuals responsible for dispensing those invitations were actually holding them because there was fear of having the crowd boo President Jonathan as he made his final exit. And so it is interesting that, yeah, there's been a lot of people across the country who have wanted to come to this event, and either they weren't able to because they never received the invitations, or because, and let's face it, there's a crippling fuel crisis across the country this week and over the past couple of weeks, and that really impacted people's ability to make it to the event. Now, ironically, we've also been hearing reports that people have been trekking from all parts of the country to the venue, you know, for Buhari or trekking for Jonathan, you know, that. Obviously, a fuel crisis wouldn't stop them from doing that if they so chose.
Obviously, I mean, it's history. 50 years down the line, photographs that were taken today will be priceless. You'll be seeing photographs of the handshake, the historic handshake, the handing over of the symbols of the presidency and all of that. Toyosi, President Jonathan came to the event without his better half.
Mama Peace.
What's happening? Do you know?
I have no idea, Kwesi. You act like I have.
I mean, it was very obvious. It was very obvious that the First Lady
was outgoing First Lady.
Outgoing First Lady.
Yes.
At that point, would still be the First Lady.
Yeah, well,
was absent.
I really don't know why she would miss an event like this. I think she's really disappointed, obviously, over the loss of the elections. And there have been rumors of her not feeling too well. So we don't know if there are health issues involved or she just wasn't in the mood to attend an event anymore. And there are also, also stories of her not being happy about the move to Bayelsa. So I think Jonathan said he was going to be moving to his house in Otuoke, and she's not a fan of Otuoke. So maybe they're even having issues, domestic issues right now. She's like, you know what, I'm not going to show up at your events, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
I really hope that's not the case.
We've been hearing the same thing, just like Toyosi mentioned that there may be some quarreling between her and Good Luck, that she doesn't want to go back to resettle back to his hometown. She wants to, according to reports we've been receiving, build out her real estate empire in Abuja, and that she would rather do this. But also, since PDP's loss during the presidential elections, Patience hasn't really been showing up anywhere, right? She was gone for months, it seemed, and only recently resurfaced. So
yeah, I mean, we saw her in the church,
recently,
right?
Yes,
in church.
Yes,
with,
I think that was the last.
The vice president and his wife.
Yeah, but before,
so
but
most
she was gone
Nigerians were
for
expecting
weeks.
to see her today.
Yeah. Well, I hope they're fine as a couple. I hope they don't let something like this, like being the president of Nigeria, whatever, losing an election, separate them. They should just keep it moving. Okay,
now let's talk about something that's a bit trivial, if you ask me. I heard, on social media, people making this thing about General Muhammadu Buhari, GMB, or GB, General Buhari, which is a gigabyte. And now he wants to be called Muhammadu Buhari, which is a megabyte.
No.
It's just like trifle. But what do you read into that? Again, another sign of modesty. He doesn't want to be called general anymore, even though I don't think, like they say in the army, once a soldier, always a soldier. There's no way he can really, really detach himself from that title, general. But he doesn't want to be called general.
That whole GBMB thing is just people coming up with stuff. And
creative minds at work.
Creative minds. Social media has actually unleashed the potential people have. You will be surprised to see how many things and the kind of things people come up with. But regarding him not wanting to be referred as general anymore, I think it's a way of him coming down to like the level of the masses. Like he wants to be seen as approachable. This is an old man, to be honest. Like I feel, no, he's 76. He's old. I mean, mature, more like all the things that probably would have excited him years ago. Call me a general, and I want to have a private jet, and I want to have a Rolls Royce or whatever. Those things are not appealing to him anymore. He has seen life. He has gone through life. Only God knows how many years he has left to live. He's 76 years old. Those things don't entice him anymore. So things like titles, honestly, I think he's a good person for Nigeria. Like things like titles, things like riches and stuff, I don't think, looking from the outside, I don't think they excite him anymore. And that has trickled down to the First Lady as well. She has said she doesn't want to be referred to as the First Lady of Nigeria. She wants to be known as the wife of the President of Nigeria.
And these semantics, though, like, I feel like these are just semantics, because the title First Lady is a universal title. It's not like if she's talking about the office of the First Lady, which I believe was created by Patience Jonathan, then I would,
understand,
deal with that.
But I think she just wants to detach herself from everything Patience made the office of the First Lady to be, including the title First Lady. Like, she wants to separate herself from that. She wants to be seen and known as more human than, like, for her person, not her position. So if she's saying she wants to be referred to as the wife, she's even showing that she's submissive to her husband. It's something that women in Nigeria it will kind of trickle down. It reminds me of a Bible story, but I'll not go into that. But
just give us a gist. Which Bible story is that?
Well, of Esther, but let's not go into that.
I know the story of Esther.
Yes, let's not go into that. But it's like, if the first woman at the head is being submissive and giving, like, honoring her husband, then it will most likely trickle down to every Nigerian woman.
I know a few women who would not be happy with you at this point, just because you use the word submissive.
I don't have a problem with submission, but again, let's not go into that. Let's not go into that. Yes.
Totally. Okay. You want to go?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that Buhari does have an optics issue, and I think that his opponents throughout the campaign have used that optics problem against him, which is that he rose to power in the 80s through a coup d'etat. He was deposed by a coup d'etat, and he was a pretty powerful person within Nigeria's military. And there's always been a tension historically between the military in Nigeria and civilian rule and governance. And I think that dropping that general from his title is an important presentation and an important projection that he wants to give. And I think that as long as people continue calling him General Buhari, then that echo from his past will kind of reflect in the present, and that's something that I'm sure his administration wants to step away from. To his credit, and critics of Buhari saying, "Oh, he's just an autocrat, he's a dictator." Okay, in the 80s he definitely was, but if you look at his behavior throughout the subsequent presidential campaigns he ran and lost, he does seem to be, at least up until present, converted to more of a democratic ruler, but that can manifest in different ways. And so just because he's willing to bow out and respect a voting process, more so than perhaps the PDP during this last election, doesn't mean that he is going to run the country with the kind of democracy that everybody is comfortable with. And so I think that we've got to be hesitant about those optics, and we've got to really hold him accountable, saying you're not general, but are you acting like an autocrat?
Quickly though, don't you think he's doing too much? Don't you think he's trying too hard to appease people who are saying that, oh, this is an autocrat from the 80s, he's probably going to do the same thing? Don't you think he's giving too much attention to that?
Well, let's flip the question around. Imagine if he's saying, okay, well, no, I'm not an autocrat, but call me general. Right? So dropping that general title from his name, I think, is totally essential.
Okay. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, he didn't even say, call me President Buhari. He said, call me Muhammadu Buhari. Yeah. Like you said, we hope this translates into... Talking of optics, let's talk about the just outgone, if you will, Vice President of Nigeria, Namadi Sambo. He's the most inconspicuous official ever that I ever saw. To be honest, if you show me a picture of him right now, I would have to look hard to identify him. Today, he was on the days trying to take a salute, and people didn't even notice. The music was still going, people were still talking and all of that. How effective, how useful has he been to Nigerians?
I mean, well, how useful
and while
has
you're
he
at
been?
it, let me add this. Compare him with
Previous.
the current vice president,
Osinbajo.
Two totally different pictures, don't you think?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I think that that's a really. I think it would be really interesting to draw to spend time drawing comparisons between Osinbajo and the current vice president.
The outgoing.
The outgoing vice president. I think that historically the role of the vice president in Nigeria has not been as pronounced as, or at least as publicly pronounced as the office of the president, and that's actually not. That's not unorthodox across governing systems across the world. Up until recently, the vice president in the United States was a pretty weak position until Dick Cheney came to power, and he really kind of built that office out. And so, I'm not surprised that a lot of people, when they think of important public officials in Nigeria, that the vice president isn't maybe the first couple people that come to mind. But I do think that the current Vice President Osinbajo, I do think that he has more of a charismatic personality. I think that Buhari is going to rely on him. And seeing the relationship between Buhari and Osinbajo will be really fascinating to see. And I think it'll tell us a lot about what Buhari's leadership style is.
You think there's a workable synergy between the two of them?
I do. And in fact, if you look at... Again, it would be really fascinating to draw the comparisons. If you look at Buhari's relationship with Osinbajo on camera, they seem to be quite jovial. I can't tell you what the relationship between Jonathan and his VP are on camera. I've just never studied it that close. If you're able to make him out
in the first place.
Yes.
Okay. So, President Jonathan, he's still President Jonathan. That's the convention, even though he's ex-president. Okay. The convention, I believe, is to still refer to him as President Jonathan. So, excuse my use of the word President Jonathan, but he's still President Jonathan. He virtually came and breezed through the, row of dignitaries. I'm looking at how President Buhari came and more or less one after the other cordially welcomed and, exchanged, greetings with everybody, like, in the VIP section, and how President Jonathan came and virtually looked like someone who wanted to get out of there. He just I think he actually skipped some of the dignitaries. I was expecting, for instance, to see some kind of cordiality between him and President John Mahama of Ghana. We know that they're really close. I did not see that. What do you think? That coupled with the fact that Mama Peace is not there, what's going on? I don't think President Jonathan, like you called him, is in a good state of mind at the moment, in my opinion. First of all, this is someone who didn't even expect to be president of the country. So it says a lot. You were talking about the VP, Namadi Sambo and Jonathan. Together, both of them were almost inconspicuous. Like, we didn't see them. We didn't see what they were doing. Do you know the most he did recently was sign how many acts? Right. In 2 days, he signed like, 6, 7 acts, the most he has done in a while. Same thing that happened when the election was postponed for 6 weeks. That's when he sent the soldiers to the forest and started like tackling Boko Haram and saying we're going to get the girls back. So he does not have the persona, he doesn't have that charisma of a president. Like, so today for him, honestly, must have just been like, let me just get this over and done with. I don't even want to be here in the first place. Like, I probably didn't. I didn't even want this in the first place. This just happened to me, and yeah, let me just get this over with. He's done his term now and he's left. Let's just hope for a better team this time. Some people suggest that what you just referred to, I want to get out and get it over and done with, started from the concession. People actually believe that he bypassed some important people in the party to concede to President Buhari.
He could have fought it. He could have actually not agreed. He could have not accepted. He could have taken it to court and disputed the result. He could have done all that. But honestly, I don't think this man ever wanted to be president. I really don't think he wanted to be president. So
people think that's a sign. People think it's a combination of all of that. You know, take it.
Like, just let me go. I just want to go. Like,
do you feel the same way?
I wouldn't read into it that much. You know, maybe he likes waving instead of shaking hands. You know, I just wouldn't read into it that much. In terms of just shaking hands with the dignitaries, maybe he had his people saying, "Okay, we've got to hurry up because we've got to keep schedule," something like that. I just don't know. There's too many unknowns. I mean, but the fact that he, you know, wasn't as friendly toward John Mahama as we would expect. You know, does that mean that he is just through with it all and he's just like, forget John Mahama and all these heads of state? I wouldn't necessarily go that far. I don't know what to think of it.
Now, John Kerry was at the event and he got all this applause. Nigerians are so fascinated with America. Toyosi, maybe you can tell us why.
I do not representative of Obama, and Obama is loved to an extent by Nigerians. So I mean, if Obama is not there and he'd be happy to see someone from Obama's camp or someone representing Obama.
And again, the U.S. is a world power, so just the fact that they are present at that event, I should think it says something
a lot about the relationship between Nigeria and America going forward. I feel like there's going to be some sort of relationship that would be beneficial to not just Nigeria, but even America as well. And hopefully very soon we'll stop having to apply for visas to come to America.
Okay. All right, we'll pass that on to the powers that be. And there were these white birds that were released at a point.
These doves.
And then doves. Okay. I didn't look that closely. So there could be pigeons.
I hope not.
Anyways, and then there was all that air display and all of that. Really exciting time for Nigerians. Very exciting time. But people were like virtually like streaming down into the main area when President Buhari performed his very first service as president, inspecting the presidential guard, you know, the guard of honor, I should say. But there were too many people coming in. This is a president who has said he's going to stop at red lights. Isn't this an indication already that there's a security threat? There's a security issue? Declan? You want to go?
I mean, you're talking about a country which is still at war with Boko Haram. There's incredible insecurity in certain parts of the country. And he is now head of one of the most important states in Africa, and I would argue Nigeria is a very important player in world politics. So there's always going to be a security threat against him. And so, yeah, I mean, that doesn't you know, it won't change, right? It might be able to improve, it might be able to worsen, but it's always going to be present.
Let me take you, up a bit on that. Boko Haram, we know how they operate. They are not a uniformed army or anything like that. We know how they send girls and all of that with bombs planted on them and all these things. Do you not think that there is indeed a threat? And I'm asking the same question again, but I'm asking it against the backdrop that we're dealing with a Boko Haram, which is not a formal army, which has like very unorthodox ways of, going around what they do. Toyosi, maybe you want to have a go at this?
I mean, to an extent, Boko Haram has sort of become like a body. I think initially there are some cases of lone explosions and stuff like that, but that's not only with Boko Haram. We see that even like here and in France. You see like individuals just deciding, you know what, I'm going to blow up this place, I'm going to fight for this cause. But Boko Haram sort of has a body right now, if I would say that. I mean, most of them are in Borno State, and there's all that. Even what's his name, President Buhari actually said he's going to make Borno State like the hub for the army. Like they're going to make sure they clean out Maiduguri. Sorry, yeah, Borno Maiduguri. Yes, Maiduguri. They're going to flush out Boko Haram and do all that. So they actually do sort of have some sort of organization. Is Boko Haram still a threat? Yes, which goes to the first thing I said, that I'm just happy everything went well. Because honestly, if something had gone off or if something had happened, I would not have been surprised. I don't think I would have been surprised. But security-wise, there's still a lot to be done in Nigeria. Yes.
Okay. So, in rounding up, we will definitely come back and, keep talking about the issues. We'll look deeper into the speech and all of that. But for now, rounding up, he spoke about Boko Haram. In his speech, he made specific mention of Boko Haram and how he plans to actually deal with that. We'll come back and speak about that in a second. This is SaharaTV. We'll be right back with more just after this break. Stay tuned.